partridge in a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the fourth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the fifth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the sixth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the seventh day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 7 swans a-singing, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 8th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 8 maids a-milking, 7 swans a-swimming, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree.
The on. There we are. Let's get this show started. We're going to have the Merry Christmas special, Contributor Appreciation Special, 2020, coming to somewhat of an end. Let's just start here, though. Everybody, Merry Christmas, and welcome to Contributor Appreciation with Progressive Soapbox Jamarl Thomas and my lovely wife, Mrs. Thomas. All right. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox, the Contributor Appreciation Special.
Do you have cologne on?
Mm-mm. Oh, it smells like I have cologne on? Just my natural.
Let me sniff your armpit.
Just my natural aroma.
Let me smell your underarm.
I'm not gonna let you smell my underarm, but if it smells like cologne, we could just go. That's my natural aroma.
Oh, okay.
Just waffles off
It
of me.
smells good. I'm gonna get closer.
But I appreciate that. All right, there's the mic. Yeah, this is the Contributor Appreciation Special. We're running late today, and I got to be honest, I didn't entirely feel like doing it, but we're here nonetheless.
Because wait,
we're gonna do the news.
we here why?
For the Contributor Appreciation Special that we set up at 12 o'clock.
Because the wife said, "Let's stick to the original plan."
She was like,
and
"Let's
not
keep it." Well, I was gonna push
cancel.
till tomorrow, and she was like, "No, don't push. Let's just get it done. So she was the power in getting this done for today. But look, whoever joins us, I'm not quite sure how many people are going to be on Christmas.
113 so far.
Wow, it's good. Okay, fair enough. It was a good idea. To show up. It's Christmas, right? So it's unclear on how many people are going to show up. And I know sometimes for myself, communities like this, in and of themselves, are communities, if that makes sense. Like, I haven't had many online experiences with communities. There have been one or two channels that I really like it were UFO channels. Grant Cameron's channel. There was a comic book channel, Comic Historian, that I liked. But there was also this other guy from Transylvania. He was a UFO guy. And there were just two guys, one from Australia, one from Transylvania. But you get into their stories a little bit, and he actually sounded like Count Dracula.
No. Is that the one who used to like spaz out all the time?
I don't know.
Did he get sick? Didn't he get sick or something?
Right. That's so the one in Australia.
He's real emotional.
Yeah, the one in Australia, he got sick. He had cancer.
That's all I remember.
But he was a UFO guy, and he was talking about his like interactions with like beings and stuff like that. And so, for me, I don't have to believe it or disbelieve it. For me, it's just information.
Data.
Yeah, it's just data. And when I read history or when I read fiction, to me, it's just data. And that is a great way to read it because it makes it that much more fascinating. But in his case, he had cancer in real terms. And so because these things are communities, just like this community, people get into fights. They get into arguments. They bitch at each other. And some people say bad things about each other.
We're not going there.
Yeah, I'm just saying in the UFO community. I mean,
okay.
But no, I'm just saying in communities in general. I mean, even like Jimmy Dore thing, for example. But I'm talking about for them also. Okay. And so he spazzed out on one of these videos. He was like crying. He was like flipping out for like an hour.
The alien guy.
Yeah,
I told you,
it looked so bad.
Like
it looked
him
so
being
bad.
Very emotional.
Yeah, it looked bad.
He used to scream a lot, anyways, even before then, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
I'm remembering the right guy.
No, you're thinking of. Oh, you're thinking of the other cat, the older guy, older white guy. He used to OBE stuff. He was
older,
but he used to do OBE stuff.
I don't know. It's all a blur.
Yeah. It's a blur.
I put it into the sci-fi weirdness category.
Yeah, it's a
they all
blur.
Fit there. So
he was funny as all hell.
Together.
He was actually awesome. He was a character, dude. He used to do OBEs and stuff like that. But in his OBE stuff, he used to like spaz out about government stuff. Like he would end up in politics where he would be a lefty. It was the weirdest stuff ever. But he was a funny guy. I don't know, man. These things create communities around people, personalities. It's like their wavelength. And it's like, it just works.
Okay, so in our community so far...
I guess what I'm saying was that the community itself almost creates a comfort.
It does, which is why we're here on Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay, so far I'm going to shout out some people whose names are very familiar to me. Fred Edwards says Merry Christmas. Hey, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.
I saw Trudy, Maggie Smith, Holly Horn, fuck Google, who apparently I think this is him because now his name is Screw Google because they...
Still same commitment.
Right, but they didn't allow him. I think they stopped allowing him to say fuck Google.
Oh, that's
It was funny because every time someone would try to add him, their comment would get hidden because Google doesn't like profanity.
Yeah.
Joe, Occupy Wall Street. Hello, vote down ballot progressives. The Inner Minds. Adam Wayne, CK Coney. As I already said hello, I saw Holly already. Matthew Wayne, Joe Nunya, Toomby, Emmy Lynn, Tom Mott, Michael Williams, Maggie Smith, Dave D. All right, so we've got 160 people here. Oh, fuck, Google says they deleted his account. I'm sorry.
Did they? Like full on just destruction.
Hey, Sparkle Boom.
Oh,
yeah, that's what I thought. It was fuck Google. So now his name is Screw Google. So this is contributor appreciation. Should I do my spiel? Because I don't know what you got going on over there.
There's something I want to do at the end of the year called the most shocking moment of the year, or the most politically shocking moment of the year, or the moment of clarity of 2020. Like, I kind of want to go down and having my list of what I think.
Like a countdown.
Like a countdown. And people can kind of give their own ideas. Cool. I think that would be so much fun. And so it's kind of like a Christmas gift, right? That you kind of want to give it immediately because it's a good gift. And so it pains
like how
me,
I do?
Right,
like when
it
you
pains me to try to hold this until the end of the year. I can relate to that. So I might just, say screw it.
No, do it. You got to get the build up. And that way, like, you'll say, okay, well, maybe at 11 p.m. on New Year's Eve, you're going to do the countdown of the top 10 most shocking political moments of 2020. Dun, dun, dun.
I think my list is going to be the greatest ever.
Say it. Oh, I thought you were about to tell us.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No. I have a few of them.
Don't give it away now.
What is it? Let's see. The most satisfying moment of 2020.
No,
the most shocking
we want the
moment
most
of 2020. The suckers of the year. I have a few of those.
I would just like to say, I think it was CK Coney in the comments earlier. Somebody said they want to see a cute dog. I'm just saying.
A what?
A cute dog.
What do you mean? Pizza?
Yeah. I don't know how you feel about that. He's upstairs in his pajamas.
Upstairs. Yeah, he's upstairs.
He's adorable.
He's in his PJs. I mean, if you have a picture of him, you can show it, but beyond that. He's walking around in leg PJs.
It's a whole body PJ, but because he has short baby legs, his back legs come out.
Yeah, but he's falling out.
All the time. But he's adorable. But maybe another time. All right, Dave said yes to the cute dog. Somebody said, where's Mrs. Thomas? Or Diane. So Mama Thomas is in Richmond.
Yeah, my grandmother is passing.
Different states.
My grandmother is passing. And because she's passing, this Christmas is going to be a very weird year. The family members are basically there. They're around the clock. So Mrs. Thomas is basically watching her mom pass. Somebody asked. Yeah. So, let's do the spiel.
Okay. All right. So, with that, okay. This is contributor appreciation. We used to do this once a week way back in our heyday, in our prime, when we were young and healthy.
I got ill. After I got ill, stuff. It went tits up.
But we would come on here once a week. We put a post on the Patreon platform to ask patrons for their topic suggestions, or we will put one on YouTube. And essentially, this is just the video to give thank you to everyone who contributes to the channel, who supports the channel through Patreon, Streamlabs, Super Chat, PayPal, and even if you're not giving monetarily, still a thank you to everyone who gives a thumbs up to a video that they enjoy, to everyone who subscribes, and to everyone who just comes back and views the content. And so that's what contributor appreciation is about. And so we try to pick the topic suggestions that you give us to fuel today's show. And so that is what we're doing here. I think our last one was on Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And the turkey turned out well. The turkey was good. There's nothing in the oven now.
Right. Beforehand it was like,
so
the turkey's going to burn.
We do have one super chat. So also, if you're new here, my name is Aisha, a.k.a. Mrs. Thomas, Mrs. Progressive Soapbox, all that good stuff. I am looking at the comments in the video live chat So if you have something to say, I'll try to pick it up to include in the conversation. And you're always welcome to do a super chat because I guarantee, like, unless like the power or Wi-Fi goes out, I'm going to read all the super chats out loud. So let's start with the super chat.
Go for it.
So Emblemed Fate says, Merry COVID Xmas. How do we start a movement to break up the media? They are a danger to the public. They won't stop pushing war and Russiagate.
You already have. You're watching this channel. You already have. I mean, think back to, I don't know, let's say 10 years ago. A decade ago. What is it? 2020? We're talking about 2010. Mm-hmm. Let's go back a little further. Let's say 2008 when Obama got in office. And we could even roll it back a little bit before Obama and Bush era. You had the Iraq War. You had all of these people against the Iraq War, in some which case, because they were being, I don't know, they never instituted the draft for the Iraq War. But you had all of the people being killed. You had all of the caskets. You had the drone killings and everything else. People were against it. Then Obama gets in office and everybody is, for the most part, okay with it because for whatever reason a black man killing a lot of people is better than a white guy killing a lot of people.
You know, right. Charismatic.
Well, it's racist to say that the black man shouldn't be able to kill a lot of white people.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah, there's that.
Touchy subject.
But think about the perspective of your media. Your perspective of your media, for the most part, backs up the U.S. policy, whatever that policy is. If it's drone wars, if it's Bush and its killings, for the most part, they don't entirely come down on that behavior. They may come down on it afterwards, meaning when Obama gets out of office, the New York Times will run the article saying, the $1 billion secret war in Libya and Syria. Like, they'll do it then, like, oh, shocking. Donald Trump ended this program where we were supporting terrorists. And it's like, you didn't know that? You didn't know that? And then they wouldn't put it even in those terms. I remember one article they just ran, they made the point of saying, they said they were trying to make a distinction between the way we, the United States, wage war versus the way Russia waged war in Syria. And it was like, our targeted strikes in Syria did so-and-so. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, we destroyed Raqqa. Like, the areas to which we were bombing in Syria was just as bad as the way the Russians were doing it. There wasn't this distinction in war. We lied about the numbers. But I can go to the accounts of the people who were there and show you the thousands of people that were being killed in those sieges that paper just basically tried to whitewash.
Yeah.
Our media whitewashes the stuff, and it doesn't give you the full reality of it. When Tulsi Gabbard goes on CNN and she tells Jake Tapper, we're supporting terrorists, Jake. And Jake Tapper's like, look, the government says it's not doing that. Well, so, Jake, for you to say the government says it's not doing that, meaning you knew something about it. You knew.
How
did you say so confidently that the government says it? How did you know the government had any comment about it at all if it wasn't taking place, or at the very least it wasn't postulated to be taking place? And of course, it was taking place. There are reports on military or elements, terrorists backed by the CIA fighting elements backed by the military. Like, this nonsense, because Obama was basically trying to play both sides. He wanted to side out, but he also tried to, wanted to fight ISIS. It was utterly nonsense. We dropped billions into those countries. And by the way, the same thing for Libya. Send in a bunch of money, put in a bunch of trained terrorists. Those guys go in, create havoc. Gaddafi responds, like any person would respond in any of these countries, including our own. And then the U.S. says, hey, we don't like it that he's trying to murder his people. So we're going to do humanitarian air raids in order to stop Gaddafi from killing his people, fighting the terrorists that we were sending into the country. It's this nonsense. And the media reports it. Basically, authorities said XYZ. That's it. That's all authorities say. The introspection into it, the whether or not it's truthful or not, the reality of it or not. The Afghan files, when it came out from the Washington Post, and it basically showed that the United States and the media was lying for like 20 years. We had been in that war for 20 years. And the money that we were dropping in, we were dropping like $3 million into an area of mud huts and saying, all right, you need to spend all of this money every week. There's no way to spend that money. It's just corruption. Like, even from the standpoint of the crops, the Brits was bright enough to say, all right, we'll make deals with you for you not to do the poppy crops. America was like, yeah, screw that. We're going to dominate. And so we're not going to make those deals. And so the poppy crops flourish. The people joining the opposition flourished. We were losing. We've lost that war. When Donald Trump is trying to take us out, that's not a bad thing. That's because we shouldn't have been there in the first place. We're propping up a corrupt government. The public knows it's a corrupt government. And to make it even worse, you have the situation where we are basically so much money that was given to these guys, like from the standpoint of the government itself. Trump is basically saying we need to pull out. The Taliban is like, yeah, we want you guys to go. And the media in the United States says, well, wait a minute. Is that us losing the war if we leave? We can't leave Afghanistan. They act like we should be there forever. There are even moments where Leon Panetta almost gets killed by a suicide bomber, walks out and tells the public, we're making progress. Everything is going great. They've lied to you for years. Like, that Afghan file should have been a much bigger story when that thing was released and showing all of the issues associated with it. This was their own investigation into their failings. Now, how would you know that if you weren't watching this show or some other show on YouTube? Now, it's not to show, or it's not to say that this stuff changes overnight. There's always going to be these kind of rattlings in the way that people get their information. Think of radio for the moment. You had Hitler talking to people on the radio, or Goebbels, and you had FDR talk to people on the radio. FDR fire chats were accurate. That was a man fighting for the civilization itself, trying to pull the country out of the Great Depression and lead it through a world war. Hitler was starting that shit and basically putting out propaganda and nonsense to a public in order to get them to, fight this totalitarian war. You can have both. It's a destabilizing technology. Then you get something like YouTube. And then you have people saying crazy shit. I was abducted by aliens the other night.
Okay, wait.
Like, I'm making the point that this medium destabilizes the ability for news to be held entirely from either radio or television. Television can be a captive audience. Radio could be a captive audience. YouTube is something different.
Okay, so very quickly before you move on, what are you doing? Cannabis Sativa said the streaming provision in the COVID bill might kill indie media like us.
It could.
And big tech censorship and random unsubscribes.
Yes, that's the part, right? So when people are talking about censorship, they're not entirely wrong. I mean, think about how media was Tom Brokaw, Dan Rather. Like, these guys were basically pillars of honesty and integrity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it's seen.
Not now.
Well, right. Exactly. Media has somewhat been discredited, especially when you have all of these other centers that are questioning and looking into them, and they're getting it wrong. The Iraq War, people realized that was a farce, despite the fact that media was pumping that up and getting rid of anybody that was in opposition from the standpoint of the voice. The Syrian war stuff. I mean, they're still even pumping the thing that Assad gassed his people. And it's like, but you're not showing the contrary evidence from the whistleblowers saying that that's not true. And that didn't necessarily happen. Meaning you show one side of the story that doesn't even make sense. Yeah. He's a bad guy. Assad has 90% of his territory back. But they're like, but he bombed. And it's like, why? He's a bad guy. Is there anything beyond he's back? No, he's a bad guy. You're being an Assad apologist just by asking the question. It's like that nonsense. So they would play this aspect of it without the other aspect of it. The Tillerson memo was very clear. The United States and media basically attacks people who are enemies, blows people up who are our friends. What they do within the context of their government does not matter. So they would bring about the Uyghurs. They will not talk about Saudi Arabia crucifixion and beheading people.
Right.
So it's that stuff. Should China pull sanctions on the United States for the number of people that are in these gulags and camps? What about the people in the immigration camps that are being forced to work? Or what about all of the blacks that are dying in these prisons from COVID? Should they pass sanctions on us because of those things? Like, I don't think we think of that stuff in the context of how other nations could behave.
Right.
And we take of it as, well, we're
if they
exceptional.
behave like we behave.
It's bizarre. I mean, like, the hacking stuff. They're like, there's been a massive hack. And it's like, wait a minute. You realize that Edward Snowden showed that the United States was hacking basically the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, the foreign policy issues that happened after that, where Germany was pissed off because the United States was monitoring the phone calls of Germany. Now, how am I supposed to give a shit? And in honest terms, we're supposed to be able to do that around the world, but nobody else is supposed to do that for us.
Yeah.
It's nations being nations. I mean, it's like, come on. And they don't even know for fucking certain it was Russia. They're looking at, there's a signature of Russia. So yeah, it's,
Okay,
it's the Ruskies.
Okay.
I don't know. It's aggravating. I guess my point is YouTube itself, media, internet, is a destabilizing influence. And yeah, those mediums can be corralled once people accrue to those mediums and invest, like in a YouTube thing, or like a Facebook thing, or like a Twitter thing. And so yeah, those mediums can be corralled once those people start accruing around those things. But it seems to be an arms race. And that seems to be in perpetuity. Okay. So I guess my point is, this in and of itself is a destabilizing influence.
Okay, Kuro Hikes wants me to read his message that says, "Fuck you, Nancy Pelosi." So there you go. Marcus Will. Hold on, I'm not finished. He's got another. Marcus Will says, "Merry Christmas to you both and everybody." Now, a continuation of Emblem Fate's initial question about media. She says, I think this is or he says, I'm not sure, says, I'm saying we need to push media breaking now. I've had multiple old folks, MSNBC viewers, tell me the danger of online media. They're coming after us.
Yes, they are coming after you. You have an establishment that is basically being undermined by something else that is trying to establish itself. This is not... Think of it like this. If you were in conflict of nations. Let's say you have Austrian-Hungarian Empire, for example, World War One, and that empire looks at Serbia and it sees Serbia and it says Serbia is an up-and-coming power, and we need to take them down a notch before they get to the point where we can't take them down a notch. And we believe that nobody else will get involved in this, so we could just fuck them up. Just we show people how badass we are. Well, that's a rapid punch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna fuck them up. And so you think to yourself, this nation is going after that nation entirely to prevent that nation from getting to a point of equality. Well, that's not just that. That's anything. Any field of competition that you have, a stronger power always tries to pretty much maintain its dominance. And when it sees something that's coming up that's trying to undermine its dominance, especially if it's this notion of what is reality, well, it's going to fight for that. It does it almost naturally. It doesn't even, I don't, it's not even like a brainchild thing. It's this thing is trying to undermine our authority on what is true and what is reality itself. And yeah, the internet has a bunch of weird shit in it, but Rachel Maddow has been screaming about the Ruskies for the past 3 years. Yeah. Nobody care about that, or them getting it wrong. What about the Iraq war? Getting it wrong about the stuff with Trump over and over and over again. The Russiagate stuff was utter farcical. And what did they do when the Mueller stuff came up? They read it, no collusion, and then they immediately flipped to the thing of, but did the president break the law by going after Mueller? It's like, wait a minute. You spent 3 years telling me that Donald Trump was fucking guilty. Can you pause for like 10 seconds on how you got it wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, for God's sake.
No, we're not going
to do that. We can't pause on that. But imagine for the moment if there was no internet. That would be reality.
Yeah.
That would be enshrined reality. And now you have this kind of competing AMO saying, wait a minute, that's BS, that's BS, that's BS. And then for the people who are saying that's BS, for it to fall apart in one court case after the next, even getting to the point of Roger Stone. And you would have this kind of weird cognitive dissonance of liberals like, yes, we got Roger Stone. But how did you get him? You got Roger Stone because Roger Stone got prosecuted because he didn't know shit about Julian Assange. He wasn't the link. Meaning he was lying. Yeah. It destroys your whole Russiagate theory. But nevertheless, we got him. And they act as if they got him because of Russiagate. Like, that's the stuff that they've been doing. CNN, MSNBC, and the Democratic Party have basically been arm and hip under the Trump administration. So those people who make this point of saying that CNN, yes, it's corporate media, and they fundamentally fucking agree. Look at this. He mentioned Nancy Pelosi. I want to show this. This is a great clip. This is Nancy Pelosi. It's basically saying, look, Wolf.
Well, just play the tape. I mean,
2.2 trillion
footage.
And nothing less. I will not accept $1.8 trillion. American public needs more.
tax credit in their proposal either. But let's not go into that.
Yeah,
You evidently do not respect the chairman of the committees who wrote these bills.
I respect
and
all of you.
I wish you would respect the knowledge that goes into getting meeting the needs of the American people. But again, you've been on a jag defending the administration all this time with no knowledge of the difference between our two bills. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to say that to you in person.
All right, Madam Speaker,
virtually.
these are incredibly difficult times right now, and we'll leave it on that note. Thank you so much for joining
we'll
us.
Leave it on the vote that you are not right on this, Wolf, and I hate to say that to you, but I feel confident about it.
Now, what is Wolf not right about? What is Wolf not right about? Wolf is not right that Nancy Pelosi should accept the $1.8 trillion that Trump is offering instead of the $2.2 trillion that she wants. Wolf is like, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, Nancy. Let it ride. The lefties, Ro Khanna was like, just give the fucking money. The companies are falling apart. You had like 30-40% of businesses, retail, up in smoke. Meaning the money that was going to go to that retail had to go somewhere. It's not going to evaporate because people's needs aren't going to evaporate. Where did it go? Walmart, Amazon. It goes into the expanding the number of mail carriers and all of those things that have to go out in order to get that stuff to the house. Meaning the implosion of retail was basically the ebullience of Amazon and those companies. It's astonishing. I wager to you the automatic tech is going to come a lot from that because of the money these guys are getting and they want to cut the cost of having to send people out like that. But she's arguing right here, no, Wolf, we will not move. The American public needs $2.2 trillion. And there are vast and drastic differences between these two bills, Wolf, that you fucking don't understand. That's what she's saying here. She's flipping out. She's angry. How dare you tell me and bring up the needs of the public? You don't think I care about the needs of the public, Wolf? I have $300 million, Wolf. I care about the needs of the public. That's what she's flipping out here at Wolf Blitzer. A few days after this, we'll take $900 billion. It was almost as if the Republican Party wanted to make her look like a fucking idiot by basically saying...
Success. Well, she does that on her own.
Well, I know, but there's a certain dickishness about it. For you to say, I am not going to accept 1.8 trillion, I am going to accept 900 billion. I'm going to accept half. Like, you win the election, you maintain your seat, your House majority, and you accept half of what you said was unacceptable. You're yelling at Wolf Blitzer. You're flipping the fuck out here. Look at her. She's wild. She's angry.
Babe, you're flipping out.
She is all frenetic in this conversation, and she's like, "You're wrong, Wolf. You're wrong."
Let me see again. Actually, no. Tom Mott said his Christmas wishes. Please don't show us Nancy Pelosi anymore.
Yeah, he's like, "You're wrong, Wolf." Why didn't they care about the businesses going belly up? The black-owned shops that wasn't getting the money. The people who were barely living. They didn't care. They didn't know that this horizon was going to come where those people weren't going to get any money. You realize tomorrow, 14 million people starve. Those people stop getting checks tomorrow. Donald Trump comes out and says people should get $2,000. And then he goes Gotham. She puts up a vote, perfunctory, because she knows it's not going to pass. And then everybody says it's the Republicans and Trump's fault. How is it the Republicans and Trump's fault? Everybody now in the media is on message. This is kind of my point. Democratic Party, CNN, MSNBC, arm in arm. And so now Wolf is okay with the $900 billion. Nancy Pelosi comes out, $900 billion is a great deal. You just fucking told Wolf Blitzer like a week ago that was unacceptable.
Wrong.
He was wrong. You're wrong, Wolf.
I'm going to end this with the knowledge that you're wrong.
You're wrong, Wolf. That's how we need to end this conversation. And I thank you for letting me tell you that you're wrong. I mean, like, she
wasn't that emotional.
She was flipping out. You don't believe me? All right, play this again.
We don't want to see it again.
You're disparaging my characterization of Nancy Pelosi. Let's play it
The
again.
chairman of the committees who wrote these bills.
I respect
and
all of you.
I wish you would respect the knowledge that goes into.
She said you don't respect the knowledge of the people that goes into writing this bill, Wolf. Think about that. Like, she's taking the piss out of him, basically saying, because you disagree with the bill that we're putting forth, and because you disagree with this notion that we shouldn't accept the $1.8 trillion that Donald Trump is offering, that you somehow don't get and don't respect the people that were in those committees for the Democratic Party that was caring and slavishly attending to this bill to give to the needs of the people. It's like, does she know that this video fucking exists? Like, how do you do this? And then like a week, 2 weeks later, turn around and basically say, all right, the $900 billion is a great deal for the American population. They weren't even going to add stimulus checks. It wasn't until Sanders and Harley flipped out in the Senate that they added $600 as this kind of secondary measure to it. It was an afterthought. They weren't even going to do it. And now, it's like, yeah, don't give me the shit that it's Donald Trump's and Republicans' fault. They did this in bad faith for like 6 months. Trump would have delivered the $1.8 trillion. She didn't give a shit about the $1.8 trillion. She wanted him to just not get the deal because she thought it would adversely affect his winning the presidency. That's the honest truth of it. So let's be honest. They were negotiating in bad faith. It wasn't both. Trump wanted a deal because Donald Trump was trying to win the presidency, and he thought it would make him look better doing so. She didn't want him to win. This was politics. And you can even make an argument that Mitch McConnell didn't want him to win. But I'm just making the point that that was her then. Now it's great. Now everybody's on message. So Amy Klobuchar comes on and says, hey, this deal is great for the American population. And it's just, the other one comes on, Democrat, Warner from Virginia. This is great. Only people on the far left and far right have an issue with this bill. Klobuchar says Donald Trump asking for $2,000 for the American citizen is an attack on America. You think I'm joking? I could pull up the video.
No. I'm good. We believe you.
All of them are on message now.
I don't even remember that.
They're bringing on economists. Economists is like, oh, no, they don't necessarily need the money. No, they don't. People don't need the extra money. They're fine. They're good. On message. Isn't that amazing? How that works? How the political space and the media space can just line up and fuse that way when they're trying to get a message across. This bill is a slap in the fucking face. And to make that point clear, Donald Trump's greatest moment in his presidency.
Okay, now I'm curious.
Okay, you might not have seen. You haven't seen this. The greatest moment in his presidency. I'm just going to let this play.
4 minutes?
Yeah, it's entertaining. When Donald Trump, when these guys came up with that bill, and they said, all right, we got this bill, and all of these people were basically okay with this. The Democrats were okay with this. Everybody's on message. Everybody's okay with it. Donald Trump comes out and does this. I think he did this at night because I didn't see this until the very next morning, and I played this shit immediately on Fault Lines.
That's why I've heard it.
Throughout the summer, Democrats cruelly blocked COVID relief legislation in an effort to advance their extreme left-wing agenda and influence the election. Then, a few months ago, Congress started negotiations on a new package to get urgently needed help to the American people. It's taken forever. However, the bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called the COVID Relief Bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID. This bill contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment, $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan, $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama, $40 million for the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., which is not even open for business, $1 billion for the Smithsonian, and an additional $154 million for the National Gallery of Art. Likewise, these facilities are essentially not open. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico, a provision to promote the breeding of fish in federal hatcheries, $3 million in poultry production technology, $2 million to research the impact of down trees, $566 million for construction projects at the FBI. The bill also allows stimulus checks for the family members of illegal aliens, allowing them to get up to $1,800 each. This is far more than the Americans are given. Despite all of this wasteful spending and much more, the $900 billion package provides hardworking taxpayers with only $600 each in relief payments. And not enough money is given to small businesses, and in particular restaurants, whose owners have suffered so grievously. They were only given a deduction for others to use in business their restaurant for 2 years. This 2-year period must be withdrawn, which will allow the owners to obtain financing and get their restaurants back in condition. Congress can terminate it at a much later date, but 2 years is not acceptable. It's not enough. Congress found plenty of money for foreign countries, lobbyists, and special interests, while sending the bare minimum to the American people who need it. It wasn't their fault. It was China's fault, not their fault.
We can stop it here. I think you get the point. I got to be honest. Personally, I think that is Donald Trump's best speech.
My favorite line was, "That's much more than the Americans got."
Yeah. And it gets worse. I mean, Donald Trump didn't even tell it all.
Somebody said, did he say anything about Israel?
Yeah, $2 billion for Space Force, $1 billion for the wall, $500 million to Israel, who, by the way, has health care and nuclear weapons. We don't have health care.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Israel.
They get billions, $500 million. He's not going to bring that up. Venezuela, toppling the government of Venezuela. They're basically putting money for it in this omnibus bill that they're calling a COVID bill. Belarus, they put in legal statute, that Belarus election was fraudulent. Think about that. It's supposed to be a COVID bill. Like, they're calling all of this omnibus. This is the COVID spending bill that we have to get. And it's at the end of the year. Now there's so much pressure. We got to get this bill passed. And Trump comes out and says, look, they're fucking you over. This is what's in the bill. And they're trying to quibble over $600 for you. I'm going golfing. Deal with that. That's basically, So Democrats are forced. They're forced. It is impossible for the Democratic Party, after Trump says that, to turn around and say, fuck Trump, we're not going to do it. No. They're going to take the vote. They're going to know the vote is going to lose, but they're going to take the vote anyway, and they're going to try to blame Trump. It gets worse. 120 billion tax breaks for business owners in the top 1%. 6.3 billion tax breaks for 3 martini lunch. Basically, we go out. I ask you something about your business. You say thank you, and then we charge all of this. We've had like a ton of beers, a ton of drinks, and everything else, and then we charge it. And you do it all year. You and I don't get that privilege. 4.2 billion tax breaks for offshore tax scams. 2 billion for Space Force. But $600 for you and me, off the table. Think about that. I mean, consider that for the moment, right? Like, we're talking about a situation where $1,200 was given, bless you, months ago. Now, do this in comparison to Wall Street when that went tits up. They move heaven and earth. They give trillions to Wall Street. What happened when the auto industry went belly up? Again, bailout. What happens when the homeowners go belly up? They just go belly up. I'm making a point where this country was hit by a COVID virus, a pandemic. And when the social safety net should have kicked in, when a rational, responsible government should have attended to the needs of the population, it did not. Look at what other governments did around the world. They were ensuring that the people had money, ensuring that the businesses were propped up because, they were rational governments. And even in dealing with the virus, China was building hospitals. This gets across how ridiculous this is to try to blame continuously China. To say that China didn't give us all the information and data. They were building hospitals. You think they were doing that for shits and giggles? Donald Trump knew all the way back in February how bad it was. Donald Trump said how bad it was in February on the leaked audio tapes that they just so happened to put out near the election. Because, reasons, #reasons. I'm just making the point that it's a bullshit dodge to blame China. The people in this country that are sick, the businesses that went belly up, in one major degree, is a responsibility and fault of the United States government. And the government should be able to deal with this misery, meaning Medicare for all, at the very least with people with COVID. I don't understand how that can't be in a bill like this. I can't even understand how the party itself doesn't back that, considering 88% of the members back it. It's astonishing to me that that is not something that is just immediately and automatic in regards to the thinking of the individuals that are pushing something like this, especially if they're going to talk about America. She says, you don't have faith in the committees that negotiated this bill? No, I don't. Because you don't have a policy that 88% of your members support is 74% of the American support. That is ethically and morally correct. Yeah, so no, I don't. If Wolf Blitzer he doesn't want to tell you, I will tell you. Call me. Call this number. I will absolutely tell you full-throatedly how little I give a shit about your committees and what you guys were doing. I will also show you that video where you're flipping out on Blitzer. I will show you the secondary video a few weeks later where you're saying that half of that is an acceptable sum. And I would ask you, what is the distinction between these two moments? Why does this person care so much about the money, but this other person doesn't care at all? Why? Explain. Explain to me.
Okay, wait. Before you go on, I have super chats to catch up to.
Go for it.
Are you done?
Yes.
You good?
Yeah.
You finished?
I'm good.
All right.
I'm pissed off, but
Is
I'm
it?
good. I just get annoyed that we get fucked over. That's all. It's like, if you look back, think about all of the tax cuts. Trump gave a tax cut and put the burden on the American public. He gave trillions to the 1% and put that on the backs of the American public. What did Obama do? He passed Bush's grotesque tax cuts. Meaning Bush had a sunset clause on the grotesque tax cuts that he passed. Those tax cuts were like, oh my God, these are onerous. These are the worst tax cuts ever. At the time when Bush passed them. Well, Trump's tax cuts were worse than that. Obama enshrined 80% of those into law. And then turns around and says, hey, I gave you guys a tax cut. He acted as if what he did was somehow like increasing taxes on the wealth of the nation. It was a sunset clause. He was lying to his teeth. He was being disingenuous in the way that he was explaining the story. I'm making the point that each and every opportunity where something is going on, the rich either get bailed out or, for the most part, just get tons of cash, voluminous amounts of money. Yeah. Despite the fact that you could see that the middle class has been getting crushed. You can look at it and tell. You can see the gutted factories that these people are in and whatnot. And it seems that the governing class, where 90% of their races are decided by the most cash, it seems that they know that, who gets the most cash wins. And that they need to prostrate themselves to get that cash. And they do it. Yeah. And I think that's why you see the most rational thing in the world, where politics leans in the direction of the moneyed interests. Democrats just lie about it. They have to lie about it because basically they're dancing in this kind of Faustian bargain where they're supposed to pretend like they care about the needs of the population. By the same token, this other guy behind him that you can't necessarily see as a credit card, that he's like, right through ass cheeks.
What was that?
Credit card through ass cheeks.
I was about to say something inappropriate, but I'm not going to. All right, let's go.
Wet ass.
That's terrible. You've listened to that so many times. You knew what I was about to say. Swipe your nose like a credit card. All right, so I had to get that off my chest. Basil Peterson, thank you for the super chat, says failing empires always export capital abroad, so they have a nest egg when they jump ship.
It's also at a certain point you fill up where you are. Like if you think of a territorial demand, like so say for example, you and I are playing a game. Let's say we're playing Beyond Earth Civ. I have a civilization. I take some land. Now let's say I have several, we have a nice little community, but at a certain point, hey, everybody, I've saturated the number of iPhones that these people can buy. I've saturated the number of toilet paper, the amount of books and blah, blah, blah. And so then it's like, I need other markets to export my stuff. Meaning, it can't stay at the rim of where we are. Otherwise, my profits are going to be minimalized. So at some point, you have to go international. Meaning, you always have to create something either new or expand your marketplace. And so it's like, yeah, it's the next step, but it's also just kind of, by definition, the impetus of the whole profit-making endeavor. I mean, if you stay stagnant, you will lose, right? How do you stay stagnant? Like, look at Kmart. Kmart took an L. Walmart just started running past it. Target even started running past it. Kmart cannot keep up. I'm saying governments, states act the same way. The only difference is states have militaries. And so at a certain point, a state would either be able to defend itself or not defend itself. And, you know, at that point, you get this kind of law of the jungle stuff.
I'm giggling at these comments. We shouldn't have gone there. All right. I have another one to read.
Wow.
I have another one.
It's such a good song.
Britt McKinney, stop. You're stabbing me with that thing.
It's such a good song.
Britt McKinney says, thanks for all you do, Thomas family. Happy holidays.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I thought I had another one, but I think I was just giggling. All right, so I have some... Gavin, if you got something to say, just let me know. I'll read it out. Okay, so wait, we need to go to the topics that were submitted from Patreon. Okay, so Michael Williams just wants you to know that I did take down your book information. We have that one, and so we're going to take a look into that and some of the other topics because he sent a really long one. Michael Williams always has long, good ones. Bernard Jackson said, good morning, can't wait for tomorrow's show. My question is, do you think if the House does send the 2000 stimulus bill through, this will let the Democrats call Nancy Pelosi the master negotiator?
Yes.
Yeah?
If honestly, if the 2000 went through, yeah, I mean, they would be like, this is why she should be Speaker of the House. She was able to wrangle $2,000 among Republicans who didn't want the bill. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know. I don't see it happening. Okay. I mean, the question honestly becomes whether Trump just says, yeah, I'm not signing that bill. And believes that, it's like, what are you going to do to me? Nothing. I am a lamed up president. And if this goes to January 3rd, the next Congress is going to be the one that pulls it in anyway. So it literally goes back into January and February. Yeah. And it goes back to Joe Biden's desk. Look, would Joe Biden sign a $900 billion bill? Yeah. Will Republicans try to gut the number if their people win in January?
Of course.
So, like, that's where it gets interesting. I mean, right now, Republicans have a majority. But if those two seats go to Ossoff and it goes to Warnock, those are the ones that are running in Georgia, then Biden takes the Senate. And in which case, that bill is whatever that bill is. And if he passes a $900 billion bill, after he takes the Senate, oh, that is disastrous. Like, that is so horrible. Like, because the problem is, the $900 billion bill, the reason that bill was cut, by the way, is because Joe Biden contacted Democrats and Republicans and let them know that he was okay with a bill that was half of what Nancy Pelosi said was unacceptable. Blame Joe Biden for the bill going down, by the way. So now, Trump blows it up. What happens? Now, from my vantage point, you should not sign that bill. You should not sign that bill. And people would say, I know, dude, but people are hurting and everything else. Nancy Pelosi didn't give a shit about people hurting. She didn't care. She didn't care. Don't tell me about people hurting when Nancy Pelosi and those other people did not care. And she didn't care for a larger sum. I'm saying that America needs to get to the point where it realizes that your weaknesses, your frailties, the things that you need, your those things that make you human are also the things that they put pressure on to try to get what they want and their needs. Meaning, I'm going to throw you pennies, but I'm going to take a huge amount of money. And if anybody complains about the fact that I'm throwing you pennies, I'm going to say, hey, those pennies are better than nothing, right? And beyond that, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. They always say that. It's always a rich man somewhere saying that to some poor person that just got fucked over. Yeah. It's never the other way around. It's never, hey, we've passed Medicare for all. And I understand those healthcare companies, like, meaning when I'm standing over the corpse of the health insurance companies that were leeches on the American public, I will say, hey, I know those people lost their jobs, but don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Everybody else is healthcare. And all of these things are basically confined, and those people could get jobs working in the government and certain services that were similar to the way that they were doing before. So don't let the perfect Be the enemy of the good. That's what I would say. And I would smile when I say it. I would even have my head held up a little bit.
Your head is, you always do that. That's how you interact with the world around you. SF Thomas, thank you for the super chat, says, Merry Christmas, peace.
Merry Christmas.
Keep the fire burning.
Back at you.
Tom Mott said he downvoted the video.
Why?
I think he's being contrary. I think he was the one that said that he came here because you were doing chess videos and he feels...
Oh, slighted?
Like he was tricked and now he can't get away. And Bernard said that their kids started doing chess videos because of your...
No way! Are you serious?
I think he said their child is 5 years old.
No way.
It's in the comments. I'm not making this up.
I used to do chess videos. So I had gotten to my head that I was embarrassed that my sword had dulled. Maybe that's the way to put it. Think of an old warrior that takes all comers. And that warrior takes all comers at all times. It could be 2 a.m, coming out, just balls hanging, just like Wolverine, just ready to go at it. That was me. That was me as chess.
No, it wasn't.
That's what it was. It was me at chess. Especially before I met her, especially.
Must have been.
Because at that point, I would just play chess constantly. We would be over each other's house. I was in tournaments.
No, I do remember because like you were like teaching me and I was like helping you play because you were doing it all the time.
That was at 50% of my strength. That's how, like, I was a beast even then, but that's a beast at 50% of strength. Like, to try to get across how monstrously powerful I was. And so, I would take all comers. I was one of the best in Richmond. And
Mr. Miles.
What?
He says this sounds sexual. You're talking about your sword has dulled. You're taking all comers.
No. I'm just saying, when I was in my, let's say, from 16 to maybe 30, I was an animal. And so, if we would play anywhere and all this stuff, yeah, I was rough. And then would talk shit like nobody's business. Because that's kind of the way we played, right? But I was a good animal. Like, I never killed anybody that didn't deserve it. What? I would only go after people that were fair game. It's like killing a Nazi. Well, like, there are certain people who would talk all sorts of shit. Like playing in barbershops and all like that. I grew up around those guys. And when those guys used to beat me and they used to talk shit to me, I was like 12 years old. These are grown men just ragging on you. And there were days where I walked home crying, chessboard in hand, just sitting in the back of the car, just... So when I got older and tournaments, my skills expanded, they couldn't touch me. And not just touch me, they didn't even get how the level of distinction between where I was where they were. Meaning they never won another game. And you're talking about like 10, 12, 20 years. Couldn't even get close. I could be down material and still have infinite confidence that I was going to win. That's how good I was.
Wait. I think you started down this.
I'm making a point to say this. As I got older and not played, there were people who I shamed pretty heavily, whether they deserved it or not. They came looking for me after I stopped playing. And
that's why you don't do chess content in the channel or play that new high tech.
Because I got to get my skills back. And I realized that those skills they're not there just because you're you. Like, it's not just, though they're embedded in you. You have to keep playing. That skill is just there because of your skill. Right. And so when those guys found me, they treated me poorly.
When was this?
When I went over to Ted's house that day. And I was treated very poorly.
So was I.
I was treated poorly. Yeah, but your poor treatment was different. And so it was like after I was like, all right, man, I got to get my skills back. That's what that was. And so that period of time was me getting my skills back. It was me playing computer chess, me playing chess on the board, and me showing all of it.
Okay.
It was all based on ego. So, that's where it was.
Alrighty. Darren Alevi says... I don't even know if you answered the question or how we got there. Okay, I don't even know.
The chess thing was fine. I would, you know what? Like Beyond Earth. I wonder would anybody play that. Do you guys know what that is? It's a game from Civilization has this thing called there's a series, and it's basically humanity starting from the beginning and growing to the point of being a space civilization. I think it's fucking euphoric. So one of the games that they have is called Beyond Earth, and that's the one where they've moved beyond Earth and they've ended up on another one. there's a expansion pack called Riverside that makes it playable. If you don't have the expansion pack, it sucks. But her and I have been playing it, and I have been addicted to that game for the latest month or so.
Mr. Miles says, do you think you could beat Spock in chess?
Yes.
Okay, next thing he says.
Well, at 25, yes.
Okay. Mr. Miles says, I used to think I was good at chess because I could beat all my friends until I went to a tournament and got my ass whooped like a child.
Now, my rating, the highest rating was 2032 in the United States Chess Federation. In Blitz, I think I got it to 19-something, but that's because I didn't play as many Blitz games. But in Blitz, I was even better. I mean, I would take out monsters in Blitz. I remember this guy, he was 20, he was a master. And he was talking shit to all of these people who, at the chess table, that were playing him. And many of these people were in a different category, meaning they were in even a different room. Because when you're in different chess tournaments, when you hit 2,000, you don't play chess with people who are under 2,000. You're in a different room. You walk into a different room. You look at the other people in the room, and you walk into your own room.
Can we?
So when you're playing the guy, he's talking all much shit. I'm sitting down at the table. I'm like, I'm gonna fuck him up, and I'm gonna do it for good ends. Meaning I'm doing it for the right reasons. I'm embarrassing this guy in front of all of these people because this guy sat down and embarrassed all of these other people. I am doing it for a good reason. Justice.
Okay.
This is what justice looks like.
Darren
Adrian came back. He says, that was so cool the way you did that guy. I said, I know, right? Because I was talking shit to him the whole time. This guy was a master. It was so good.
Darren said, would you play Gary Kasparov?
He fucked me up. He fucked me up. It's no point in playing. And he's like a right winger, right? So I don't even want to sit there and take that beat. Yeah, I don't want to. I would joke the shit out of him with the Deep Blue game. Have you seen that game? He was playing Deep Blue, and he makes like a move, and he just gets him. He's like, fuck it. And just walks off because it's like main 5.
I've seen that. No.
Yeah, he plays Deep Blue. It's like this huge thing because it's like he's playing this computer. It's like man versus machine. And I don't know what he thought he was doing. Like, he stopped playing his own way of playing chess. Because Gary Kasparov, the way he plays is so complicated. But from a person standpoint, from a computer standpoint, no. You're playing that way with the computer, you're going to lose. And so he stopped playing these kind of extremely sharp, complicated positions. Like, if we're playing, at a certain point, when you hit master level, you're not playing in the way of, think of it this way. They lie to kids when they first start playing chess. And that lie stays with those kids until they hit like 2,000 or above. That those pieces have values. They have no values. The pieces are not valued. The pieces are only valued in so much as they can be used. Okay, but people have this thought that that's a 1, that's a 3, that's a 6, etc. I'm making the point that when Kasparov plays, he will sack a rook, he would sack a queen, he would sack this other stuff, he would do these things for material imbalances in the position. And he's doing this to grandmasters. And they're sitting there looking like, what the fuck is happening? Like, he went on like years, like on a tear, just eating through grandmasters where they couldn't touch him for like a decade. Like, it's hard to get across how dominant and how good Gary Kasparov was. And I don't think anybody has reached that level of dominance. And the complexity in it. But when you're playing a computer, that's different. That computer has all of your previous games. That computer can be tweaked between games. Yeah. That computer, like all of that stuff. And so all of those things became part of it. And so he's thinking he's doing an exhibition. And they're like, well, this is a match to beat Gary Kasparov.
Okay, wait. Before we go to this, I just have one thing that I would like to say on the chess front. Can we watch the Queen's Gambit?
I haven't had the drive to watch it yet. I don't know. I haven't had the drive.
My dad said it was really good.
I believe it is. Searching for Bobby Fischer is the greatest movie ever.
Talking about how good it is.
Have you seen Search for Bobby Fischer? I don't think there's another chess movie that could touch Searching for Bobby Fischer.
You're welcome, Mr. Miles said. Thanks for reading his comments. All right.
But the answer is yes. I'm watching.
Darren says, Merry Christmas, Jamal and Aisha. Love from UK. Hope you had a good Christmas, and I hope the turkey wasn't burnt.
No, the turkey was fucking awesome.
I made turkey for Thanksgiving, but
I ate so much.
We did. I had to make sweet potatoes like every day.
They were so good. They were so good. And I didn't realize I didn't realize potassium and sweet potatoes were like that. Yeah, it was so good.
Luca Clemente said, did Jamal see Crystal and Sager's new UFO story?
No, I didn't.
Write that down.
Uh-oh.
No, Luca. But he will now. Tom Mott, come on, man. You're killing me. And you downvoted the fucking video?
They're trying to take my shit, yo. They're trying to take my shit.
Computers
they're coming. They're late to the thing, and he's probably only doing it because Tucker Carlson did it. He's like, Tucker Carlson.
Okay, wait. So before we go on with this, so this is a Patreon submission. Jason Eugene says, amazing show. I've been a fan for a year. Your show helped me better articulate how shitty American politics is.
Thanks, man.
My questions to you are, first, could you do more shows or segments with Nico House? Because you guys have great chemistry. So you're going to write that down. Second question, while we're kind of on this topic, is if aliens have been in contact or visiting us, isn't making contact with our political leaders a bad idea, or are those aliens corporatists too?
No.
Reminds me of the British show Torchwood, Children of Earth, when the government made contact with aliens who were galactic drug dealers who got high off of dopamine from human children brains.
All right, so or the Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man. You have seen that one. I know I've shown you that one. Have you seen that, To Serve Man?
Probably.
Okay, where they find out it's a cookbook. Humanity
right.
It's
serve
a cookbook, right? To serve man. They were being literal.
Right. For dinner.
I have to be honest. If an alien civilization is openly making contact with Earth, we need to be very concerned. I'm just saying. Like, it's one thing to see shit in the sky. Fair enough. And honestly, whatever engagement there is with this planet, who knows what the perspective of whatever is. I mean, the things that you see in the sky could just be to try to pique your consciousness, for all we know. Just for people to be like, hey, I think I just saw something. Is there something there? Why don't we never talk about UFOs? I mean, we're all flying through space. I mean, does anybody care about we go to Mars. We went to Moon. I mean, what? Is something coming here? It just seems the most natural thing in the world. And people shut themselves off to it as if there's nothing out there. And it really does take an invocation of God to get there. How could it not? We have life that grows on pretty much everything. You have volcanic pits where life grows on. And we're to believe that more galaxies than grains of sand on every beach on this planet, more than that, and even expanding into something, even though this is supposed to be everything. Let's not even deal with that paradox for the moment. But I'm saying it is almost impossible to come away with the conclusion that there is nothing else there. It is utterly bizarre to come away with that conclusion. And if it's anything that has the ability to have agency and movement within our dimensional space, and that's assuming it is even from the standpoint of our dimensional space, I mean, we don't even know that much, then they might have the same idea of, hey, what's out there? Is there something like us? Is there something else that can look at the sky and ponder and wondering if there's some other being out there? I mean, I'm making the point that it takes an invocation of God, and yet people walk around and shut that self off as if it's, with all of the military stuff, with all of the U.S. and the government stuff, all of that stuff is investigations into. It would be interesting if Donald Trump came out and says, here's a craft, here's the alien body, I'm lame duck, I don't have anything to lose, here's a Kennedy assassination, fucking I'm going to get a beer. But he's not done that yet. What you have seen, though, is the military basically work with the UFO organizations. You've had the military putting out information. You have the Pentagon putting out information. You have the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN. You have all of these arms putting out information saying, this is real. What is it? We don't know, but this is real. And that, in and of itself, is confirmation. Now, disclosure is something different. And confirmation or disclosure doesn't necessarily require an alien being interacting with your government. It just doesn't. Just the acknowledgement of something in and of itself is disclosure, is confirmation. And so I would be very wary of a situation where a craft lands on the White House lawn, because I think at that point we're fucked. Like, think about it for yourself. Postulate the most benevolent being you could think of. Benevolent. Very benevolent. Even has a glow about them when they walk. They wear robes, nondescript, and they have technology that basically ensures that their needs are met. So they are basically the highest potential of their people, that they're still evolving. And they've come to this planet, and they say, we want to help them. We want to help them. Those, they're wallowing in this kind of chain of a device that they built for themselves of capitalism. And we need to free them out of this logical box of sorts. Maybe we can help them by giving them free energy. So look, we're going to somehow give this species and race bestow this upon them in a way that will not destroy them, that won't cause war, that won't cause havoc, and that won't make the situation worse. How do you do it? You can't.
Isn't that why there's a prime directive?
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. I mean, I'm making the point that any civilization that's dealing with us, what is the media going to talk about? What is YouTube going to talk about? You can't even get people to wear masks. What does it look like when they're like, oh, they're going to colonize us? Oh, we heard that they killed us. That's the same group that was kidnapping and abducting us. Like, you're going to get all of these stories that proliferate all across the United States, all across the world. And it gets to the thing that even with their best of intentions, those intentions get questioned. All we know is us. And because all we know is us, we know conniving, scheming, somebody's getting something out the deal, people don't do anything for good reasons, just for the reason in and of itself. You have that worldview, and that worldview is going to look out and see it, whether it's there or not. Meaning, people are going to be skeptical of it. They're not going to believe it. They're going to be thinking it's some kind of plow to take over. The military is going to get involved and be looking at this as some kind of militaristic campaign. They're going to be looking to level the playing field. That's the other one. Meaning, any technology that we get, we're going to be looking out of due diligence, just from our framing of the world, and using that to weaponize that to try to find some level of parity between that race and us. Because what we know is, we go so far as that race allows. Especially if they can take us down. Now, they can be benevolent, but benevolent doesn't necessarily mean that it wouldn't come to odds at something if we want to articulate our will that they won't necessarily allow. Like, all of this stuff comes up immediately, even for the most benevolent of species. And that's probably not all of it. Like, think of, you know what today is?
Christmas.
Fall of the Soviet Union.
Oh.
Did you know that? It fell today.
No.
Boris Yeltsin and Gorbachev, they hated each other. And Yeltsin, in one of the biggest dick moves of all time, evicted him out of the house where he lived for all of those years, for like 10 years on Christmas. The dick, like, they hated each other. Apparently,
Really?
Gorbachev was a dick to him at one point, and then Yeltsin remembered the fact that he was a dick to him, and when he got into the position where he could basically fuck him over, he really fucked him over.
Maggie Smith, thank you for the super chat, says this is the year for it, Jamal. We're talking about all this alien stuff.
Right.
Marcus Will
This
says,
will be the year for it to come up.
Mainstream media is a stranger anomaly than UFOs. Just saying.
Yeah, the stuff that they push, man, and they want you to believe.
CK Coney, yes. Said, does Jamal speed think and talk as much off air?
Speed think?
Yes. I know what you're trying to say. Yes.
Speed think.
And someone else said, do you ever like slow down or something? No. Joan of Arc says, Jamal, does your brain ever shut down? No. So yesterday or last night, it's Christmas Eve and it's like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm trying to like get in the Christmas spirit. So I have my headphones on because Jamal won't let me listen to Christmas music in the house.
That's not true.
He
That's
does. Okay,
not true.
correction. He doesn't want to hear the Christmas music.
I have headphones.
And so I put exactly.
Yeah.
So I had my headphones on, and he's in the kitchen doing something, and he comes back in and like waves for me to cut the headphones off, and I'm like, okay. So I pause the headphones, and Jamal says, is having babies a social... What the fuck did you say to me? You interrupted my Christmas Carol to ask me, is making babies a social, like, requirement? Or
a social responsibility.
Yes.
Is having babies a social responsibility.
It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was Christmas caroling, and this is what he comes in with. Because what were you listening to?
It's an interesting question. I'm just saying it's an interesting question.
What were you listening to?
It was the Russian Revolution going into the Stalin era.
This is legit like what he listens to, like in the background all the time, playing the video game, reading.
I think it's an interesting question.
It's eternal.
Do you believe that having children is a social responsibility?
I didn't want to answer it at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to answer it now.
Well, what's wrong with the answer?
I don't know, but you're always like,
is it good
fascinating. And
well,
I'm like, not
because
in
of what
here,
it
not
means.
in mine.
If it's a social responsibility, that means that society should do something about it.
I know what social responsibility means.
No. If you having that kid is to some degree your responsibility to the state, what does it mean for you to have that kid? Like, what does it mean from the standpoint of the state's responsibility? Like, does the state have to pay for your kid to make sure that kid is okay? Now, personally, I think that should do that, because I think if you want to have a decent society, you want to make sure that those people are whole. But no, I thought it was an interesting question. I mean, what does it mean from the standpoint even of the mom and her responsibility with the kid? Does the state's responsibility supersedes that of the parent if it's a social responsibility as opposed to an individual liberty or individual choice? I don't know. I think those things are interesting.
Okay, wait, I have one more, and then so Fred Edward. Oh wait, no, I have another one before Fred. Linda Lee Yu says the Klobuchar throws a staple. I should have got a stapler for that. And Maddow segment.
All right.
The Klobuchar and Maddow segment seemed like an obvious directive from the billionaires who own MSNBC, torn public opinion away from wanting more, like a $2,000 check, and make getting more than crappy $600 seem nefarious. It didn't work. Well, it only worked for the most brainwashed Dems. The propaganda seems to be losing strength as people are so degraded that they find it hard to take anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just Rachel Maddow. Mark Warner, CNN is bringing on economists basically saying, oh, people don't need it. Mark Warner's like, oh, only the far left and the far right. Are you fucking kidding me? 14 million people about to lose their stuff. And this doesn't get into the depravity that's been taking place leading up to that. Meaning, the American that lost their homes never recovered. When Wall Street hit the skids, this country didn't necessarily recover. And it's like just kind of moseyed along until, bam, another crash. And the response is, let's attend to the billionaires again, and let's ensure that they can have their martinis for lunch. But the $600, we need to make sure that we don't give that to everybody. It's just, yeah. I feel some better way about it. That's all.
Okay,
right.
So wait. Luca Clemente put a super chat, so I have to read that loud. Luca Clemente, it looks like he might be a couple minutes behind on the stream, but he says, Dole Sword JT. There's a prescription for that. But All right, so wait a minute. I read the one from Linda Lee Yu. Fred Edward, we did take a look at the graphic that you sent from the Twitter link. But he says, looks like I'm a little late, but he said he's not denying deaths from the virus based on CDC's own data. But, okay, wait, let me start over because I fucked that all up. He's saying, I'm not denying deaths from the virus, but based on CDC's own data, the infection is not as dangerous as those in power keep repeating via corporate news. Then he goes on to say, how does Lagos, Nigeria, a nation has 1,236 COVID deaths, have a fraction of the deaths of New York State, which has like 37,000 deaths, about the same population totals to Lagos to New York. He's just saying the reported data is telling us that corporate media, he thinks, is pushing false narratives about COVID severity, I guess. And you were saying that.
I don't buy it. I don't buy that one. Look, do you believe that the number of deaths, just as in the absolute sense, is what? 3,800 or something? It's going to be like 4,000 by Christmas. That number is either true or not. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a number that people are just kind of throwing around. Did 3,000 people die the other day? Yay or nay? And if the answer is yes, then you have a problem. I mean, are your ICUs actually full? The answer is yes. I mean, whatever you think of the percentages, whatever you want to think of the numbers and come to the conclusions, come as you may, it is a flat fact true that the various ICUs are filling up. It is true that many of those places are looking at rationing care at this point because they believe they can carry the burden in regards to the number of people that are getting ill. This is not conjecture. I don't think these people are just making it up. I think people are dying. And, for people who've had it, for people who may get it, for people with comorbidities that don't want to get it, for the nursing staff and the doctors that were on the front lines the entire time with us. I mean, the people at my clinic have been working the entirety of this. No, I don't think it's overhyped. I just don't. I don't buy it. It's one thing if you had, I don't know, a few dozen people dying a day. Maybe you can make that case.
Not with the
but
numbers
not like this. Yeah, I don't think you can make that case like this. I mean, it seems uncontrolled. It doesn't, like, the president is out to lunch, basically. And even when the president was doing his press conferences, there were still like 2,000 people dying a day. So it just doesn't seem that it's under control in any real and serious measure in the United States. So I'm not shocked by the media as being hysterical over it. especially under these circumstances. I'm just not. I don't buy the. I don't think it's overly inflated, especially with the number of people who are ill. And by the way, even the people who don't die. I mean, you're talking about like smell loss, people having these kind of foggy brain issues, like where the brain isn't necessarily entirely working right, especially when they have comorbidities. It seems to make those items worse, like issues of inflammation. Yeah, it's just not something. I mean, even if you could live through it, why would you want to catch it and risk it? Not to mention you could pass it on to somebody else. So no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm more on board for the distancing stuff. When I look at, it's not that I love it, but when I look at the mutation stuff, the mutation thing, they think that what ended up happening was somebody had a weakened immune system. And in that person with the weakened immune system, their body couldn't necessarily kill it, but COVID couldn't kill the patient either. And so it just festered until it got to a point where it mutated and the other one outcompeted its rival. That's why they think it has so many different adjustments on it. There's so many variances on the new strain. It's something's odd. And so they're like, how on earth did this thing evolve to this way or mutate in this way, especially when we don't have the other things? That's the hypothesis, that basically a person with a weakened immune system basically allowed, the thing grew in them.
Right.
Look, we don't even know whether that strain is more virulent. They think it is just because of the spike protein. They don't know whether it's in America. We don't do those type of tests. They do those tests in the UK. So the UK might have just found it just because they were looking for it. And it could be very likely in the US because we don't do those tests and look for those things. Yeah, I think it's a big deal.
Okay. Because it's 3:00. Pam Hall says, well, thank you for the super chat, but she did not leave a comment. She just said thank you.
Pam.
But her previous comment said, the questions Jamal asks are appreciated, even if in his personal life it seems random. He's always thinking, always seeking truth. That's easy for you to say because you're not here 24 hours a day. Trudy said something about walking about other people's shoes and
yeah.
It's all fun and games until it's 24
easy.
hours a day, 365, and we're 10 years in.
It's easy when it's an hour. When it's 24, it can be rough.
Because you have because sometimes I'm like, babe. And honestly, sometimes it doesn't stop him. Sometimes he's like, fuck your feelings.
I don't
say that. But the fact that he doesn't stop, it kind of insinuates it. Because he's like, that's fair. You guys are consuming this at your leisure. Like, this is a choice to be consuming it. And sometimes at like 2:00 in the morning when I'm trying to cut off my brain power and he's just like, doesn't have that capacity. But it's cool. But thank you for the super chat. Madeline Perez also didn't leave a comment, but look at that little thing.
Level
up. It's a level up.
I love that. I love that.
That's adorable.
It's so cute.
Darren Levy says, what if COVID-19 is from the aliens? I feel like they have better things to do.
I think they have better ways to end this.
I mean, like, if they're trying to take us out, that's not effective.
That's like a week.
If you're just trying to create chaos
the Spanish
on the
flu
planet,
was worse.
You know what I mean? Like, to what end, I guess, would be...
I guess there could be a better virus.
The question.
Yeah, a better virus would have done the trick. Especially if you're trying to take everybody out and you don't care that they realize that, holy shit, this thing is manufactured. At that point, it's too late. I mean, think of the reaction to COVID, right? Think of if COVID was more virulent. Think of if it was like the Spanish flu, where it killed fast. We were entirely unprepared for this.
Yeah.
Like woefully unprepared. Like, we were still having festivals in the midst of COVID. And it's like, yeah, fuck that COVID. Now, see, I'm okay with that guy dying. I just don't want that guy to pass it on to anybody else. Well, he's
not going to just sit in his house and quarantine with his own COVID. He's going to go out and do other shit.
It's an individual choice for him to get COVID and die miserably. Fair enough. His choice. Zero feeling. # your life. But when you're passing it to somebody else, I take issue. Look, I know people like to think of themselves as individuals. You're not. You've never been an individual. Everything that you are is always bouncing up against the society and everything else. Your point of view, your likes, your dislikes, all of those things are in some side regard to this kind of larger world that you're bumping up against, that you try to distinguish yourself from, or that you basically accept. There's no way around it. It's like wherever you go is where you are. You're always kind of stuck with this thing. If there's something in you that is of some substance of you, then it really is only ever this kind of equation where, what is this bumping up against these environmental things? Meaning, it doesn't mean anything to say, what is Aisha? It's always, what is Aisha in this particular situation? Otherwise, it doesn't entirely make sense for the person to just take it as a flat quantity.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, Emblemed Fate said, did you get Cyberpunk? Also, did you play Mass Effect?
Never played Mass Effect. We rented Mass Effect.
Cyberpunk.
So, Matt, you got to understand, Aisha, she finds most of the games. I know this sounds weird. Like, Civilization was something she found.
Wait, why does that sound weird?
Because it looks like Civilization was the game that I enjoyed playing.
It's very racist. Maybe sexist.
No, it's
Maybe
not.
a little bit of both.
It's just the game that I enjoyed playing. You didn't enjoy playing it, like talking about. Like, meaning I could sit there for 10 hours and just play it. You might go
I
play
can too.
You can't sit there for 10 hours and play Civilization.
Maybe not as long.
And then you be complaining about,
that
they're
a
coming to get me.
challenge?
They're coming to get me.
Who's coming to get me?
The people on
That's
the board.
because you want to put me on the highest level.
That's no other reason
And I'm
to play
not
it.
ready for you.
If you
That's
don't,
your
you gotta play it on the
experience.
highest level, man. That's how you determine dominance.
Right. My brother used to play Mass Effect all the time. Or maybe he still does. I don't know.
But I think we rented it. Like, meaning on the thing, like the sample, but we never actually got the game
Darren
itself.
said, do you ever play Halo games? We
Yes.
played Halo.
We've tried Halo. Yeah.
Paul says, okay, so thumbs up if you guys would be... Oh, sorry. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
Thumbs up if you guys would be interested in
Playing Beyond Earth Civilization.
getting some kind of thing together and doing like a group Beyond Earth
We can
Civilization
even put it
game.
online.
Just do like a thumbs up
Because we can put it
right
online.
now in the comments and we'll try to make it happen.
But keep in mind,
Maybe we'll do that
would
like
take
New
like
Year's.
20 hours. I think it would take
No, maybe we would just like do to a certain turn or something. I don't know. Maybe we could do
Like
it
have,
like
like, 4 people.
for 2021 bucket list and like every
Yeah,
week
yeah.
you
That would
play
be
for
fun.
2 hours.
Because we can put it online. I mean, we can have people
Audra
show
says,
it.
big ass thumbs up. Marcus, no, do a thumbs up so it's easy for me to count.
I am down for
Emblem
that.
Fate, yes. That's
should be
2
fun.
thumbs up.
Do they even know the game? They don't even know the game.
Yeah,
they don't
some
even know
people
the
do.
game.
How the fuck are you judging them? You don't know what they know?
They Beyond Earth Civilization.
Somebody
Member
said
Edition.
Civ is great, and you're like, they don't know the game.
Fair enough.
These fucking uncultured swine don't even know what civilization is.
Fair enough.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Right.
10.
It's easy to plug it to the computer. I mean, the game is already on the computer. It's on PC.
I'm into any game that's not hours and hours of Insomniac chess. See, Audra said, I know this game for years, fam. I'm ready.
Right. All right.
Let's go. Yes.
Maybe we should put that online. That might be
CK
cool.
said, I'll learn the effing game.
The game is fun. I think it's fun personally. I mean, you get
I
to
play it.
basically.
Civ takes way too long, though.
It takes so long.
That's the thing, Spider. That's why I was like, it's cool to start it up, but it would have to be something that we did like
it
over
would
the
take
course
like
of the year.
months. Yeah, it would take a lot of months. It's so like because everybody gets their move, and that's fine when you don't have much. But when you get to the point of having like civilization, like several bases.
Right, and SF Thomas
Oh,
says
yeah.
Sid's Civ. We know it. Sid
Yeah.
Meier's
Sid Meier's,
Civilization.
yeah.
Yes.
It's so good.
Come
The
on,
game is so
man.
good.
Pam Hall says she sinned. She gave her thumbs up.
That game is euphoric to me. Like just the.
We'll have to find a
idea of
way
it.
to We'll have to find a way to try to play
this
that.
computer doesn't allow it. The other computer does. But if I'm not on the screen, then the video stuff doesn't really matter. At that point, we just plug it into the thing. So yeah, we can do that. We can pull that off. Yeah, that'll work. One thing to leave you with. Joe Crowley. Do you remember Joe Crowley? That was the one that AOC beat in the race. Crowley had been in the Democratic Party for like 20, 30 years. He was like a New York functionary. He was a pillar. If you'd have thought that Joe Crowley was the indispensable man, the man that, couldn't go anywhere. He was always going to be there. If you bet on Crowley, you could give a blind bet on Crowley for 30 years. And you would have won that bet. Like, almost like breathing. Crowley was in that seat. Until AOC. The media didn't cover her. The media didn't think she was going to win. Nobody, a few people brought her on the show on like lefty media and stuff like that. And when she won, she became a superstar. What happened to Crowley, though?
I know you're going to show us. Every time you say Crowley, I think of Supernatural.
Joe Crowley.
Okay.
Well, the demon on Crowley. Yeah. Yeah. What do you think happened to Joe Crowley after he lost that race? That brutal
He's a
loss after
broken
30
man.
years. The broken man. What did that
And
broken,
he got beat by
broken
AOC.
man
I can see
do?
what he
Let's
he's
hear
turned
what that
into just by
broken
his
man.
demeanor on this.
Let's hear what this broken man after losing that race became. Kind of a lot like Eric Cantor. Do you remember him? He was a representative in Virginia. He lost Dave Bratt, I believe his name. Bratt came out of nowhere. Like, he was just a flaming right-winger. Cantor, I don't even think Cantor was, like, running in the race. I don't even think they had, like, debates or something. Like, Cantor, he was, like, this first in line behind Eric Boehner, if I'm not mistaken. Meaning, when Boehner left, he was going to be the guy. Which means he was, like, really high up. And so higher-ups don't tend to take an L like that. So Cantor took an L. And so the catch began, what happened to Cantor? The same thing that happened.
Let's see.
Let's hear it. You think Crowley had a rough life?
Attack line against you.
Well, I think it's important to note that Squire Patton Boggs is one of the most respected law firms in the world, quite frankly. Over 2,000 lawyers in 46 offices in 20 countries around the world, and do a lot of great work and good things. I'm not a registered lobbyist at this point. I continue to do consulting work. Everyone is entitled to have a lawyer, and a law firm. Sometimes they have clients that are more, more Disneyland than necessarily tobacco, for instance. So I think that's not only Squire Patton Boggs, but every law firm. So I've enjoyed a lot of the work that I've been able to be engaged in, very much so. And I think Squire Patton Boggs is one of the more reputable law firms in the country.
I'm not questioning their reputation. I'm just wondering, do you accept the perception that a lot of people will look and see politicians going straight from Capitol Hill to K Street is what helped Donald Trump talk about the swamp and all of that?
Well, I don't really see what that issue has to do with gainful employment after leaving Congress. The reality is that I have a lot to offer in terms of my knowledge, my experience in life, in government, both in the state legislature.
And the people that you know. Meaning, Crowley, think of all the people you meet being in 30 years in Congress. The people that you meet in New York, the people that give you cash, the people that have connections for you to get that cash. Think of those people that want certain things. Think of the companies. Think of the... Like, he had been a functionary in the center of all that power for 30 years. I bet you he does have a lot to offer in regards to the people that he know, where the bodies are buried, how he gets, moving the stuff around when those people have things that they want, how he can contact the various people and push and lobby for those things. Yeah, he went straight to Kate. Like, he says, I'm not questioning your morals or anything, but you do see why people have a problem with that, right? And he's like, I don't see why there would be a problem at all. I just need gainful employment. I need to get a job, right? I need to get a job. But this is the catch. When people talk about the swamp, yes, it's the money that they get from businesses and companies and people putting money in their pocket and everything else. Yes, it's the spending 75% of their time begging for the cash. Of course, if you're begging for cash 75% of the time, you're going to have a certain worldview of the people who are giving you that cash. So, yes, both of those things are true. But it's also true that what he said, what happens when I leave? What happens when I leave? Now, if you play ball, would you be more likely to find a sweet spot when you leave than not? Especially if you've somewhat established yourself and you played the game in regard to the politics. You were the front person for the 1% and the oligarchs, giving that message of helping the poor and all this other stuff, while really doing the good job for them and their interests. So it's like, if you do that, does that pad your nest after it? As opposed to burning these guys where you're not going to get a job. Meaning, all of this stuff, we're acting as if these people aren't human beings with needs, with wants, with aspirations that go beyond that office. That's my point. When you have that office and you're an ideological actor and you're pushing because you want to get certain things done, I want Medicare for all, I want this, I want that. Well, that's you being an ideological actor that's pushing against all of these forces that are trying to get their hooks into you to get you to do what they want. But the hooks have more to do with the sweet offerings that those things give. The invites to dinner. The, hey, what about this, Crowley? Hey, this guy has a little bit of cash that you might want to talk about. Or, hey, have you thought about this particular policy? With a wink and a nod. Like, Crowley is exactly the point that people make when they talk about that relationship between the corporate state and politics. Like, I love this video because it's so straightforward. He's like, I need employment. Of course he needs employment. When the person leaves the political office, what do we think the person is going to do? Just go up and smoke? They're going to go back to doing something.
Right. They got to make a check.
They got to make a check. And just like Eric Cantor started making those bucks working for some kind of lobbyist firm, that's one of the key jobs in Washington, because you know the people, you know the players, you know the politics, you understand the laws, you know all of that stuff. And so it becomes extremely beneficial. This is the reason why they play this game. If you know that 90% of the races are won by the side with the most cash, you know by definition you just need to get the most cash to give you a 9-to-1 chance. I mean, like, this is in one part the problem of that all of the money can be dumped in, but it's also what they know of as a payoff later. Their kids getting into certain jobs, their kids getting certain legs up in civilization. I mean, after they finish, them getting legs up. All of this is basically makes things a nest egg for them, their family member, the people around them. Crowley is an exact example. 30 years as a soldier for the rich and oligarchs. Nest egg at the end of his life as a lobbyist. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to finish it on this.
It.
Default, thank you for the super chat, says we must primary progressives to hashtag force the vote.
Yes.
And asks, where is the Green Party on force the vote?
Interesting. It seems like it's a Democratic argument, though. Like, the people who are in it seems to be a fight on them. You know, Ilhan Omar, though, backs it. She came out with a goddamn it tweet that I apparently just entirely lost. Oh, here we go. So this is Ilhan Omar when somebody asked her about it. Yes, we can. With a slim Democratic majority in the next Congress, anything could be possible. It would literally take 5 courageous progressive members to get concessions on progressive policies. And she's right. She's absolutely right.
Okay.
What do they think is going to happen? Oh, Pelosi is going to punish us by taking away our seat assignments they already do. Oh, she's going to punish us by putting through rules and regulations that's going to make it difficult for people like me to get elected. They already do. Oh, she's going to talk bad about us. They already do. The Stop Sanders meeting was them explicitly trying to marginalize and stop that movement from taking effect. That movement that you were a part of, by the way. Meaning, these guys are not your friends. And this politics needs to be more adversarial, even if you get beat up in the long run or in the short term. Meaning this pop-up mama bear shit needs to stop. This is not where we are anymore in the political space. And the more lefties that get into office, they need to consider themselves as something different, even beyond the Congressional Progressive Caucus, whatever the fuck that is. I mean, ultimately, people just give money in order to have the name progressive on them as an official organization. That cannot be the standard. It can't be. Oh, I'm a progressive. Why? Why are you a progressive? You're just standing there? I'm standing here as a progressive. I know. But what does it mean for you to be a progressive? Can you just stand there and be it? Or does it require you to have certain beliefs and do certain things?
Behavior.
Exactly. Right.
Okay, wait. Darren Levy, no. We haven't watched The Mandalorian. I need somebody's Disney
I haven't watched that yet.
Access.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
When we had it, so for my birthday in August, my family came by, just my brother. And
they allowed the Disney Channel.
Somebody logged into their Disney account. And we had it for a while, and we were just kind of chilling watching it, but we didn't watch Mandalorian.
I'm not a big Star Wars person.
I know, but that looked like it was going to be
really
good.
I loved Rogue One. I thought it was
Star Wars
so good.
Person.
I thought Rogue One was so good.
Okay, so I think this is the last super chat. Let me go back to Trudy. Also, Trudy, I hope you are doing well.
Absolutely.
Trudy had some things going on.
And Trudy, thank you for staying content-wise. Trudy's been with us for a very long time. I mean, a lot of people have, but, you know.
Can I read her comment now?
Yeah, absolutely.
She said, instead of piling on AOC, we should be primarying centrists so AOC and the squad aren't so outnumbered.
That I agree with too, Trudy. And yeah, I don't think we should be piling on AOC like that. It's so weird. And she gets shit on from the right. She gets shit on from Democrats. And now she's getting shit on from the left. Like, you can say, well, you know, that's fair. You can say the fairness doesn't really matter in that case. Look, I would say it only matters if it's productive. Do you think it's productive? I don't know if I do. I agree that AOC and these guys should force the vote because at this point, they are not your friends. They're not helping you. And the idea that Nancy Pelosi will get $900 billion less than what they were offering before, I'm at a loss to understand why she deserved the speakership, and at the very least shouldn't deserve it without some level of a fight or some level of a disappointment vote being had. So yeah, she should force it. So shout out to Ilhan Omar. I'm backing the idea. I like it. All right, we're good. All right,
yeah,
guys.
sorry, I'm just reading to make sure.
All right.
Fred Edwards said, I do miss Sitting on the Moon analysis by Jamarl.
Good. Well, I've been starting getting my videos back up. And so I've gotten basically 3 after for each day. That's the objective. I mean, for the holidays, it's going to be different, but... All right, guys. So I'm going to end this here. You may see me a little bit later today if I get bored. Yeah, I'll be able to.
I have to make the Christmas ham.
Because there are videos here that I really want to get to. The Joe Biden one I really want to get to. Joe Biden is a fucking flagrant liar. And he's out there telling people, yeah, I don't know if I had the authority to do the getting rid of the student loans.
Jesus says, I've been here since before your progressive voice beef. Trudy says she's been here since Tim Black.
Seriously.
Somebody, okay, so in the comments, I want you to tell me how long you've been here, but use an event that happened on the channel. Like the progressive voice beef, I know what that means. Or the Tim Black episode,
yeah,
I know what that means.
He got called
like
tepid. Yeah.
I know what that means.
I'm not fucking tepid. I'm not tepid.
Marcus Will,
like,
I don't know what the fuck that means. Marcus Will says, I've been here since weed.
Since weed?
I don't know what that is.
I think he says this is day one. This is day one. All right, guys. I'm going to end this here. And I'm going to say like. I'm going to say share. I'm going to say subscribe. And look, guys, Merry Christmas. I don't give a shit if you guys like using Merry Christmas or anything else. But
Happy holidays.
None of it's real to me. So I choose basically to accept.
It's real to other people, so enjoy your holiday, people.
Well, that's kind of my point. You accept what you accept of it and just kind of go with it. No, man, none of it's real. And so enjoy what you want to enjoy. And in this case, I tend to enjoy Christmas and New Year. Like, share, subscribe, and guys, honestly, thank you for your support. I really do appreciate it. This year has been a weird year.
Weird. It's been a fuck fest.
Yeah, everything from the dog dying, everything from a stroke, everything from the surgeries. So, yeah, this has been a very strange year. But we're still here. So, thank you all for joining us.
Can I come back later and bring pizza?
Maybe.
It's Christmas, babe.
Maybe.
You should read this because some of these are really like good, memorable, like flashbacks.
Oh, go for it.
As Zoc said, I'm the one who called Tim Black tepid in the chat, and Jamarl went with it.
Did you?
First video I saw, Jamarl was interviewing Jimmy Dore.
Oh, right. I remember
Trudy
that.
says, when you were hosting Tim Black shows every Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hitch says, here since the TYT corporate payoff. Zoc says, I've been here since long before tepid. Maggie says it was after the Tim Black thing. Oh,
wow. That's been so, 2 years? Has it been 2 years? How long have I've been doing this?
3 years.
Wow. It just piles up, man. Especially when you start it in an ass backwards way. Like, you start videos not because of cash or anything. It's like, I was doing software engineering, and I started getting really pissed off at the world. And I kind of just started doing videos just talking about it. And then eventually it became pretty much anything. Chess, aliens, politics, and then eventually migrated more so to the political stuff. At some point, I got a call from Faultline saying, hey, would you like to come on the show? And at that point, the radio thing went for 2 years. And yeah, it's just a weird way of all of this happening. I mean, I got the job this year. Like, the first part of the year was the first time I started working on Political Misfits, where we had to move up to D.C.
Trudy said it's been 5 years, 4 years. Oh, man, y'all gonna make me calculate.
Oh, that's so long.
I think it was
it's 4 years.
2017. So we're going into 2021.
It was after Sanders. So it had to be 2016, the end of 2016.
Okay, so I was thinking like January 2017 because you stopped at the doing software engineering like around the holidays in December.
Oh, you mean when I full time
like December 2016?
Yeah.
Since 2016.
Wow.
And we're going in 2021.
I can't believe it's been going this long.
We got married in 2016.
Yeah.
So we should do like a 5-year anniversary.
Sure.
Something. All right, bye.
All right, guys. I'm gonna end this. By the way, I'm almost at. Oh, let me show you this video before we leave.
Hell
last
no.
video.
I'm going.
Well, this is the last video.
Do I need to stay for it? Trudy said 5 years.
Wow. I can't believe that seems so long. Like, to be doing this consistently over and over again. Like, getting up, doing the news next day, do the news next. Like, it just seems so
I'm still
wild.
not exhausted or tired of it.
No, I guess I'm not. I mean, it's
kind of like me when I go teach and I come home and I'm like, I'm fucking exhausted. And then it's like, don't complain, because if they call to ask you again, you're going to
do it again, right?
Drive
right.
2 hours to go teach a class or...
Well, see, I enjoy it, though.
And that's the thing is, like, whenever they ask, I'm like, yes. And in the moment, I'm like, this is awesome. But, like, later, I'm like, my body is getting old.
No, I totally enjoy it. All right, so this is...
What is this?
All right, so this... They say Donald Trump is very bad at everybody at the White House. Like, he's pissed. He's been losing his shit. And he's been losing his shit so much that people are trying to basically duck him. Like, they don't want to be around him. Because if they're not talking about the conspiracy theory stuff, then he gets mad. Like, do you believe in the city power that Brian Kemp was working with the Cubans and the communists from Venezuela and Hugo Chavez's ghost? He's like, oh, Mr. President, I don't believe that. Fuck you. You're disloyal. Well, what do you think is the ultimate betrayal to Trump? The ultimate betrayal. Of all of the people around him, of all of the things that take place, when his president's in, all of that stuff, of all of it, what do you think is the ultimate betrayal? I'm going to show you the video right now.
I want you to tell me.
Because this
I can't think of a good one.
Bugged the shit out of Trump. Because it was. Because he's considered, it's like, in his head, it is the ultimate betrayal. And so when the video hits it, and hits on that mark, he was apparently talking specifically about this video. Angry because of it.
All right, go ahead. Come on. It's over time, and I got a super
You don't
chat
know what it
now.
is? You don't know what it is?
I really have no idea what this is.
End is coming, Donald. Even Mike Pence knows. He's backing away from your train wreck, from your desperate lies and clown lawyers. When Mike Pence is running away from you, you know it's over. Trying to save his reputation, protect his future. Oh, there's one last thing, Donald. On January 6th, Mike Pence will put the nail in your political coffin when he presides over the Senate vote to prove Joe Biden won. It's over. And Mike Pence knows it.
The Lincoln Project.
What the fuck was that?
That is possibly one of the greatest political videos.
What even was that?
Because everything in that video is true. Meaning Donald Trump's ace boon coon, Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence, attack dog Mike Pence, who's been with Donald Trump the entire time through this clown ride. At the end of it all, is going to shake Joe Biden's hand, and he's going to hit the gavel, and he's going to make Joe Biden President of the United States. The ultimate betrayal. And they nailed that shit in the video. And Donald Trump apparently was talking about this video like, fuck them. And then mad at Mike Pence. Was like, that motherfucker's going to nail it up with coffee. Because his thought is like, Pence, you're not going to back me up on this? Pence is nowhere to be found. When the last time you saw Pence talk about this?
Fortunately,
Pence fucking missing in action because Pence has a political career after Trump. Just like Mitch McConnell has a political career after Trump. Like Chris Christie, meaning they see the tide turning from the standpoint. And Trump is going to have political clout. Don't misunderstand me. But from the standpoint of maintaining their political reputations and everything else, they know Trump is gone. Mm-hmm. And so, Pence is going to be there. He's going to gavel it, and he's going to shake Joe Biden's hand and says, welcome, President of the United States, Joe Biden. And he's going to leave and walk. He's going to do, golf or something. Trump.
Darren Levy says, Jamal, will you please have your mom on as a guest one day? Luca Clemente says, I saw Jamal's marriage proposal video before I knew who he was.
Did he? You saw the flash mob? Yeah, you saw the flash mob video. Oh, wow. Did you? That is so cool.
Mama Thomas, we're in Maryland. She's in Virginia.
Yeah, she's in Virginia.
So.
And it's going to be a while before she does anything. So. All right, guys. Again, I just want to thank all of you. And I wish all of you a Merry Christmas. You may see me later today because I want to call Joe Biden a fucking liar. and back up why he's a fucking liar on the stuff on student loan. But I got to be honest, Joe Biden lies flagrantly in general. You know, he wasn't part of the civil rights movement. He wasn't with, what's his name, in South Africa. He wasn't, he lies talking about he wasn't trying to cut Social Security. He was pushing for that balanced budget amendment. Like, these are things that he just lies flagrantly and callously about.
Wait, I thought we were leaving.
We don't leave it. I'm saying, I think I want to do that video.
Who's the Savage Now says R.I.P. for my dog Rocky, 2013 to November 2020.
Yeah, I'm going to leave on that. I'm going to leave on that. Too. Yeah, Bo dying was not easy.
We're not going to get into that.
Yeah, we're not going to go there. This, like I said, this has been a rough year.
But we understand exactly. Marcus Will says Trump still has 70 million votes.
Yes, he does.
He's dangerous.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And that's the thing that people don't realize. The reason that the Republicans haven't dumped him, political gravity. Like, when Trump leaves, he's still going to be a political force. He got 10 million more votes than what he had prior. More blacks, more gays, etc. More votes from the Hispanic population. Like, they thought that Trump was going to lose because of these people. Trump basically gained in these people. It was whites, believe it or not, that were backing Biden in some respects. The wild part about this, though, is he's still going to have political gravity. The Republicans have to do this two-step of, we can't seem as if we're ditching him. By the same token, we can't get into the clown car.
Wait, are you doing the video now? Or are you
no,
I'm
not. I'm just telling you, that's basically the two-step the Republicans had to play. Because at the end of the day, Donald Trump did get, 11 million more votes. So, yeah, he's still a political force. All right, guys. Like, share, hit the subscription button, all that good stuff. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification icon, all that good stuff.
That's why I need to do the spiel.
And I will see you guys maybe later today, if not tomorrow.
Happy holidays. Have a good one. Be safe.
That's right. Be safe.
Stay your ass at home.
Keep condoms at the ready.
What the fuck?
You said be safe.